Steven Universe. Yet another show from this massive family tree that continues to grow. What a nice, calm, peaceful experience. Nothing to fear, no one to fight. Wait, what? What's this? Oh. Oh! Okay. Well, this certainly wasn't as peaceful as it initially seemed. Yeah, Steven has experienced quite a lot of pain over the franchise's run, much more than anyone his age should ever experience. Sure, he accomplished great things along the way, but it wasn't an easy journey. Pretty much all of his pain can be traced back to the Great Diamond Authority. White, yellow, blue, and good old pink. They are unparalleled in their gloriousness. Anyway, there's a few episodes that have little or nothing to do with gem stuff, but the rest all trace back to Pink being mistreated by the other three. Now that the show is over, I can put on my theorist goggles to properly analyze the diamonds and see how they work. Or more accurately, how they don't work. In order to do this video, we're gonna have to go back to the past. Way back. All gems are created using essences from the diamonds, and the diamonds were created by... who knows. The only reference to their origins is in the End of an Era art book, and it looks like they came from an egg 20,000 years ago. Well, obviously the Sneeple are behind everything, so I guess one of them laid that egg. After they emerged, hatched... they got to work creating other gems and constructing homeworld society. Yellow ran the military, blue enforced the laws, pink threw parties, and white was Big Brother watching over everyone at all times. So while we don't know who created the diamonds, nor why they did it, we do know that they instilled the 4 gems with a very authoritarian viewpoint. All gems were created with a specific purpose in mind, always serving the diamonds, and those who didn't comply with those rules are punished. And the diamonds aren't immune from this punishment, as shown in Pink's backstory. For whatever reason, Pink wasn't like the other diamonds, and I don't just mean in the size department. She was fun-loving and easygoing, often acting out against the rules which led to her being locked in a tower for extended periods of time. Why was Pink like this? I think Pink may have been off-color, but I can't say for sure. Let me know what you think. Gems are created using these injectors which inject the diamond essences into the ground, which grants sentience to the minerals within dirt thanks to space magic? Clarke's third law is very much in effect here. Eventually, it became evident that creating gems severely weakens homeworld, so in order for the race to survive, the diamonds would have to expand outward, colonizing planets in order to create more gems. And this is where the main conflict of the show begins.
Ta-da! A finished Earth colony.
The colonization process is deceptively simple. To sum it up, the diamonds travel to distant planets, plowing through whatever pitiful life forms inhabit them and start digging. Over time, and I mean a lot of time, new gems will emerge, slowly draining life from the planet until it becomes uninhabitable to life forms that aren't gems. In other words, the injectors are viruses. There are likely only so many planets which are viable for colonization. Earth is in a different galaxy than Homeworld, so Homeworld's galaxy has seemingly run out of viable planets. As mentioned previously, this process takes a long time. Colonies take centuries, if not millennia, to complete if the new gems are to be made properly. Rushing the process will result in the gems coming out inferior and deformed, as was the case for the gems from the Beta Kindergarten with the exception of Jasper. Because gems live for so long, they appear to perceive time differently than we humans do.
Everything on Earth seems fast to me.
If gems perceive time like we do, it's highly unlikely that the rebellion would have gone on for 1,000 years. Also, Pearl acts like taking Steven into space for 50 years is no different from taking him on a road trip for the weekend, so... yeah. White, yellow, and blue were all mature enough to handle colonizing planets, but Pink wasn't. She would repeatedly request to get her own colony, but yellow and blue would always turn her down. The one time she tried asking White, she got so angry that in her rage she accidentally damaged her pearl permanently. In addition to being given a new pearl, Pink is also given a playmate, Spinel, to make her happy and not filled with destructive rage. Pink's routine went back to normal again for another 2,000 years until one day everything changed. The other diamonds actually agreed to give her a colony, though whether this was because she earned it or because they just got tired of her constantly asking is yet to be determined. And while Pink is obviously excited to have a colony, she soon realizes the whole process is more trouble than it's worth. Be careful what you wish for, am I right? But before she does that, she makes what many consider to be an unforgivable decision.
Every day was so much fun. At least, that's what I thought.
And now it is time to discuss the saddest part of the entire franchise. Pink's main claim to infamy is leaving Spinel behind in her garden for 6,000 years under the pretense of a game. While Pink was busy building her colony and later rebelling as Rose Quartz, Spinel just waited, and she continued to wait throughout the rebellion, the corruption, and throughout all of Steven's adventures bringing peace to the universe. All that time, the only thing keeping her sanity in check was the hope that Pink would one day return for her. But she didn't. Hell, Pink never even said she would come back. Spinel only found out Pink was dead from Steven's broadcast at the beginning of the movie, and that's when she realized the truth. She was left behind and forgotten. Oh man, this is too much for my emotions right now.
Stop it, Blue. Stop using your power on me.
People are always quick to cancel Pink for what she did, which is a perfectly fair assessment. However, Pink is not the worst character on the show. There are plenty of characters who are irredeemably bad, and Pink isn't one of them. All 4 diamonds have character development, but people always single out Pink because hers is shown in reverse. We learn of the good things she did as Rose long before we learn of the bad things she did as Pink. Abandoning Spinel was bad, but compared to planetary genocide, it's not that bad. Pink is still responsible for a lot of crappy things, however, and while I'm not trying to justify her actions, I will try to reach an understanding of why she did them. First things first, why did Pink abandon Spinel? Well, as alluded to before, Pink perceived finally getting her own colony as reaching a new level of maturity. She thought she was reaching the levels of the other diamonds and didn't want a somewhat childish gem holding her back. If she wanted to oversee a colony, she had to do it without distractions. She outgrew Spinel, but Pink couldn't just leave her without a word. So she created the game to essentially let her down easily. Next up, why didn't Pink ever go back for her during the rebellion? Well, for this I have 2 options. One, the numerous parts of the rebellion were always on Pink/Rose's mind, so she may have legitimately forgotten about Spinel. The other option is that she did remember, but decided not to go back since Spinel's presence would have harmed the rebellion. Spinel would never leave her diamond side as both Pink and Rose, and since Spinel is implied to be a one-of-a-kind gem, Pink wouldn't have been able to properly play both sides with her around. Of course, that problem would have been solved if Pink left Spinel at the zoo, but whatever. And Rose couldn't fetch her after the rebellion because there was no way off Earth. The galaxy warp was destroyed. And the last question, why didn't any of the other diamonds go to the garden in the thousands of years after Pink's alleged shattering? I'm not singling out any of them in particular. Blue. Well, Pink's garden probably wasn't as important as Spinel thought. The garden was everything to her, but to Pink it was like an occasional hangout spot. When she said every day was so much fun, she probably meant every day that Pink was here was so much fun. The other diamonds may have legitimately forgotten that the garden existed. Spinel was only able to leave because she found out about Pink's death from Steven. So in a sense, Pink is telling her she could stop. The game is over.
What do you know about the Earth?
Apparently more than you Claude!
As the story goes, Pink Diamond realized the true beauty of Earth and that colonization would destroy it all. She tried pleading with the other diamonds to spare the planet she came to love, but her requests were either misinterpreted or straight up ignored. So she made a stand. Not as herself, but as an ordinary court soldier. And here's where we come to the biggest problem with the other 3 diamonds. They may have immeasurable power, but what they don't have is brains. The other diamonds are idiots. Well, maybe not white, since it's implied she knew the truth about Rose from the beginning, but yellow and blue are definitely idiots. Bottom line, the rebellion shouldn't have worked. How the hell did the other diamonds not figure out Rose was Pink? I can understand them not knowing if Rose never interacted with them, but she did. Oh, but that's okay, it's not like she actually spoke to them as Rose, right?
Blue Diamond, leave this planet. This colony will not be completed.
How did they not know? It should have been so obvious. It's also not like Pink Diamond's Pearl and the Renegade Pearl are the same gem. It's not like Pearls vary in appearance much more than other gems of the same type or anything. Now I can maybe see Blue Diamond not noticing since she was angry. After all, the rebellion was supposed to end here at the Cloud Arena and only didn't because of Ruby and Sapphire fusing, creating a suitable distraction for Rose and Pearl to escape. However, there were plenty of other gems here who could have noticed the truth. Now let's skip ahead several hundred years to when Pink realizes her fellow diamonds will never abandon Earth as long as Pink was alive. Thus she decided to fake her death using some fake shards to simulate her shattered gem. Were the fake shards conscious? Because if they weren't, that'd be a pretty big error in judgment on Homeworld's part. I mean, Homeworld definitely knows gem shards are partially conscious because if they didn't, they wouldn't have made the fusion mutants or the cluster. Yellow Diamond even has the ability to heal shattered gems, so why didn't she do that to Pink? If these fake shards didn't come back together, then it'd be obvious the shattering was faked. Yes, I could perfectly understand the Diamonds being too emotional over the loss of Pink to consider this initially, but it's odd that the thought never came up in over 5,000 years. There's one other opportunity the Diamonds could have used to learn the truth about Rose earlier than they did: Steven's trial. Yellow and Blue could have gotten a good look at Steven's gem during the trial, but they didn't. The Pebbles recognized Steven's gem as Pink's almost immediately, seemingly because they're much closer to it. And there's even a room full of rose quartz gems which could easily be used for comparison, but alas, that didn't happen. White's conspicuous absence during the trial could mean that she treated it as an opportunity for the others to figure it out, but they didn't. Oh well.
It's sort of like if MC Bear Bear didn't tear the fabric of his arm, but the fabric of his mind.
Pink faking her shattering had numerous unintended consequences, but corruption was probably the worst. She didn't think the others would care about her if they thought she was dead, but she was wrong. Very wrong. White, Yellow, and Blue ordered their troops to retreat from Earth and then unleash their deadliest attack. Well, it would have been their deadliest attack if all four of them did it. Each Diamond's powers relate to a particular aspect of existence. White is the mind, Yellow the body, Blue emotions, and Pink is life and death. The corrupting light was able to damage the physical forms, minds, and emotions of the gems on Earth, but without Pink taking part of the attack, none of the affected gems were actually killed. Rose, Garnet, and Pearl were only able to survive since they were protected by Rose's shield. Only a diamond shield can shield a diamond's attack. Amethyst, Lapis, and Bismuth were also spared since their physical forms weren't present at the time. Every other gem on Earth was corrupted. The worst thing might be that the Diamonds didn't even check to see if all their soldiers made it off planet. Some corrupted gems, like Nephrite and her crew, were loyal to Homeworld. It's heartbreaking how visibly betrayed Nephrite feels about this. 'Tis a tragedy. Thankfully, Steven found a way to undo corruption. Mostly.
Everything I ever did, I did for her. Now she's gone. But I'm still here.
Besides corruption, Pink/Rose's actions led to quite a lot of other problems that the other crystal gems had to deal with, especially Pearl. First things first, Rose's death left Pearl rather messed up emotionally, but it led to the show's best song, so she gets a pass on that one.
Who am I now in this world without her? Petty and dull with the nerve to doubt her. What does it matter? It's already done. Now I've got to be there for her son.
There's also Pink's final order. Pearl being forced to never speak about Pink's fake shattering caused her quite a lot of pain. It was one thing when Rose was still alive, but the order is still active even after her death. Even when Pearl wants to, even when she needs to, even when Steven's life is on the line, Pearl is unable to speak the truth. And the only person who could possibly remove that order is oblivious to it. It wasn't until Steven views Pearl's memories that she's finally able to talk about it, which only causes more pain for the other gems. Separately from this, Pearl had to constantly take hits for Rose during the rebellion, and possibly while fighting corrupted gems, simply because if Rose was ever proved, it would reveal her true identity. Unfortunately, this had a damaging effect on Pearl's psyche. Very damaging. Pearl was left with a borderline suicidal approach to warfare, convinced that none of her feelings mattered because her entire being was devoted to protecting Rose. Even worse, she later instilled this viewpoint onto Connie.
In the heat of battle, Steven is what matters. You don't matter.
I don't matter.
It's actually pretty scary. If Steven hadn't stepped in, Connie would have blindly gotten herself killed in battle and it would have been Pearl's fault. Can you imagine how the other gems would react? Actually, forget the other gems. Connie's mom would kill Pearl with her bare hands if that happened. Moving on to something less depressing, Bismuth. Rose lied for thousands of years about what happened to Bismuth, claiming she was killed in battle when in reality she was safely bubbled and stored away. This all started when the two of them had an argument over the breaking point. Now Rose has a perfectly justifiable reason to object to a weapon that can shatter diamonds, but she didn't have to keep Bismuth bubbled away all that time. The other gems clearly mourned Bismuth because why else would they be so dedicated to the preservation of the Sea Spire which honors the diamonds? Bismuth states her job was to make spires like that, so the crystal gems are keeping that spire intact as a memorial. Damn. And it's not just the original crystal gems who were affected by Pink's actions. Most of the members who joined after her death have some negative aspect of their lives traced back to her. The most obvious is of course Steven and his emotional issues, but he'll get his own section later. So for now, let's talk about Peridot, the best character. Yes, I said it! Pink abandoning Homeworld created a resource crisis since 25% of the resources used to create gems were gone. Era 2 Peridots lack shapeshifting powers and are shorter than usual, though they still have plenty of wit. Luckily, our Peridot managed to overcome her natural defects over time.
You're never the same, even moment to moment. You're allowed and expected to invent who you are. What an incredible power.
Rose had many human lovers over the centuries, however she unintentionally treated them more like playmates or pets, never actually loving them. She thought she did, but once Greg confronted her about it, she realized she truly knew nothing about human relationships were supposed to work. It's thanks to Greg that the gems, well, Rose and Amethyst at least, learned how to become less antisocial and more, well, human. And because Rose gained a greater understanding of humanity, she finally came to the decision to have a child of her own. A decision that some were happy about, and others weren't.
Can't believe you're getting so worked up about some guy.
This one is different. He's honest and he's sweet.
Please.
He would never do anything to hurt me.
He's a guy.
Besides,
I really can't even begin to explain how Rose's pregnancy and Stephen's birth worked. Writer Ian Jones-Quartey has this to say about it, which explains some things, but still leaves a lot up to speculation. Well, I don't think anyone understands it in-universe either, so I guess that's fine. One interesting thing to point out is the difference in the gems' appearance from when Rose was alive to when she wasn't. They look younger in the flashbacks to when Rose and Greg were dating, but have their present-day appearances when Stephen is a baby. Why? Well, so many birthdays establish that Stephen's physical appearance is tied to his mental state, and while pure gems presumably don't work under the same principle, Rose's death did force them to mature emotionally, to grow up. Hence, they changed their appearances to look older. When Stephen is growing up and initially learning how to use his powers, the gems are reluctant to tell Stephen a lot about the gems and about Rose's past, to the point that he considered himself half magic rather than half gem. Now, a lot of this can be chalked up to early ideas the show didn't pick up on again, but surely there can be an in-universe explanation. For example, let's go to episode 3, Cheeseburger Backpack, which features the aforementioned sea spire. The spire is held together by a statue that Pearl refers to as the Moon Goddess. Now, while there is no other reference to a gem religion, there are gems which are worshipped like gods, one of which has a base on the moon. See what I'm getting at here? Yes, I believe the Moon Goddess is Pink Diamond, who Pearl didn't want to mention at the time. While the gem on the statue looks more like White Diamond's gem, Pink makes more sense thanks to the moon base. Or maybe the Moon Goddess was the one who created the gems, I don't know. The reveal of Rose Quartz's true identity completely turned Stephen's life upside down. He suddenly went from being son of an infamous rebel leader to son of Pink Diamond, who is also a rebel leader. It's a bit complicated. And while no one except Pearl knew in-universe until the reveal, plenty of hints were dropped in Stephen's lifetime that clued us, the audience, in.
Why'd she keep so many secrets?
She had to, Stephen. It's the mark of a great leader. We are literally walking in the footsteps of the diamonds.
I have a rose quartz gem.
That's more of a pinkish red than a real rose quartz reddish pink.
Rose quartz isn't real.
And there are plenty more examples. However, this didn't change what Stephen spends most of his time doing, fixing his mother's mistakes. And as anyone who's seen Steven Universe Future knows, this doesn't have the greatest effect on his psyche. Luckily, he gets better by the end. Probably. While Stephen being Pink's son makes Yellow and Blue stop trying to kill him, it does draw the attention of White, who definitely comes close to killing him. One question a lot of people ask is how does White know what a mom and a child are? I think she could have possibly read Stephen's mind with her mental powers. The diamonds do have some sort of psychic connection, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Anyway, this is where Stephen's greatest power shows. His great empathy and compassion for others enables him to turn most enemy gems he comes across over to the side of good. They were unable to change before they met Stephen, but he brings out the best in them. According to Rebecca Sugar, the series ending theme Love Like You wasn't written with any character in mind, and it's meant to be interpretive. My interpretation, which seems to be the most common one, is that it's from Rose's perspective, and the you in question is Stephen. If you look at the lyrics, you could interpret it that Rose is praising Stephen for everything he's capable of, stating how a diamond like her could never love like him. She wishes she could have met her son, but always remembers to believe in Stephen. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was definitely a fun one to make. As always, feel free to leave a comment and share your own theories and whatnot. Until next time, thanks for watching.